The Make Do Review Halloween Spooktacular.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Make Do Review. My name is Jack.
My name is Emily.
And on today's episode we are reviewing Doctor Sleep. Stephen King's Doctor Sleep.
The sequel to The Shining.
The sequel to The Shining.
Released today.
Released
In
today.
the UK, as we are recording
Well,
this.
technically yesterday.
We are recording this at quarter past midnight.
Yep, we've literally just got back from seeing the film. It's a lot later than we actually thought it would be, but that's
The Halloween spirit.
that's the Halloween spirit. We had to go see a spooky film.
We did.
Was it spooky? Stay tuned. How are you How are you this fine morning?
This fine morning.
Early morning, Emily.
I'm chilly. Since getting in from the cinema, I've put on an extra entire layer of clothes.
She's still wearing her scarf.
I'm still wearing my scarf. I ate a lot of popcorn again.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling okay. How about you, Jack?
I'm very well. I'm also cold. But yeah, it's been quite a lazy day, and it's Halloween.
It was not a lazy day for me. I was at work.
Yeah, I know.
But it was still Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. As we get older, the less you do for Halloween. That's what I've found out.
Yeah,
I miss going out for Halloween, but
I know.
we couldn't do that this year.
We went out for Halloween.
We
just went.
We grinded for the podcast.
Yeah.
This is our lives now. Podcast comes first.
Podcast for life.
Anyway, so we went to see Doctor Sleep, released on the 31st of October. Halloween, baby! With a runtime of 2 hours and 31 minutes, directed and written by Mike Flanagan, and of course, it's an adaptation of Stephen King's novel Doctor Sleep. With a cast of Ewan McGregor as Danny Torrance, Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat, Kylie Curran as Abra Stone, and Cliff Curtis as Bill Freeman. And there's definitely a lot more people in this film, but those are the main cast, I would say.
There's a lot of people in this one.
There's a lot of people in this film who we might give shout outs to. Or not. We shall see. Emily, what did you think of the film?
I enjoyed it. It took a while to get going. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah.
And there were moments of like flashbacks and stuff that were jarring for reasons we shall explain later. And it was quite different to the first film, but I still enjoyed it. It was kind of like its own thing, but with like it linked and it made sense to the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was alright. It's not something I'd probably rush to see again. I'm not gonna lie, but for a first viewing, I did enjoy it. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. It was a slow start. I feel like this film in general had pacing issues.
Yeah, I did.
Sometimes it really was really going for it, and then other times it just went full back, pulled everything back, and then it just got super slow again. But when it got into it, when the engine started going, it was really enjoyable. They went kind of full out with the craziness in this one, and it's definitely a standalone thing.
Yeah.
It relates when it gets to the end. It relates a lot back to the original. A lot of fan service. We'll get to that. Obviously, the films just came out, so we won't spoil anything as of now. So yeah, there's a lot of fan service. as it gets on to the end. But I like the
Yeah.
stuff, the new stuff. It was its own thing. I've never read the book. I haven't read either book. Um, but even the director, you found this, Emily. The director Mike Flanagan had to actually convince Stephen King, um, to reference back to the movie because
Yeah.
Stephen King, if you didn't know, hates the Stanley Kubrick Shining movie,
Yeah, he
which is
does.
interesting. So even the man who wrote the book hates like this well received and loved film.
But that's not uncommon
It's not at all.
at
It's like
all.
when actors play real life people, you find that a lot of people actually hate their performances, even though they could be real. I can't think of one on the top of my head, but yeah, it's a common thing for
Mm.
writers or real life people when their work gets shown.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll wrap up. Yeah, so I liked the new parts. It had a lot of pacing issues. The acting was good. The filmmaking was great as well. There's some really interesting stuff, and it definitely tried to be its own thing, while still kind of being Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, I'd say no. I suggest you still watch The Shining if you've not seen it before, because
Oh
there are
yeah,
definitely references that you are not going to understand the plot.
it's definitely a sequel to the
Yes.
movie, not just like
Although it's
know.
got its own kind of thing going on, it's a part of the bigger world, so you need to know what's going on really.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you'll be too lost, but it definitely once it kind of kicks into those like when those
The thing
references,
is, there's
yeah.
some of those moments that are like, oh damn, that just wouldn't be oh damn if you hadn't watched the first film.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess you would be like, "Whoa, what's going on here?
What does that
Slow the
mean?"
brakes." But yeah, anything else, Emily, before we spoil the film?
Nah, let's just spoil it.
Should we? Yeah. So this is your spoiler warning. The film. This is the first time I think we've like reviewed like a film like on the date.
I know.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll come back. To
We
this
are
in like
usually
a month's
we
time
have
when you
been
finally watched
so
it.
late with releases, uh, with everything really, kind of. We're usually like a week later, so.
Listen, we're busy people.
We
And
got
sometimes we're
busy
poor.
schedules.
So.
But yeah, we hope to get into this rhythm of seeing new movies as soon as we can, so that you can, you know, listen to the podcast as soon as you see it as well. So spoiler warning, spoilers for Doctor Sleep. Go see the film as soon as you can. Come back to us. Okay, now.
So
I don't even know where to start.
I don't know where to start either.
Okay, so essentially the plot of this film, we should have just explained the plot in general. Um, it's the film starts off, I'm assuming right after The Shining,
Yes.
like maybe like a week or so. Like they've the it starts off with Danny. Oh no, it doesn't. It doesn't. I apologize. The movie starts off in 1980. Somewhere, I can't remember. It's like a caravan site or like a camping site. This little girl, uh, is we follow this little girl and she's away to go pick flowers, and she bumps into this stranger called Rosie the Hat.
Because she
But
always
guess,
wears her hat.
but guess what? Yeah, exactly. You would never guess that, would you? What a creative
Wow.
name. She was like, she was like, "Do you like my hat? You know, it's like it's a magic hat. I wear it all the time, so much so that people gave me a name for it. You want to hear it? Rosie, the hat." And to be honest, we're going through like the cast list and the character names, and like all the character names are quite like that. They're just like so ridiculous. So we've got Snakebite Andy, Crow Daddy, um, oh, hold on, I need to get more. Silent Sadie,
Apron Annie.
Apron Annie,
Yeah.
and then Barry.
Good old Barry.
You know, just Barry.
Grandpa Flick, who's creepy.
Grandpa Flick as well. So she's like trying to come across as a magician. She's like, I'm magic, look, you know, and you're magic like me. That's the whole thing. You're like me. You know, you can tell what color of flower I'm holding in my hat, and then she does. So this little girl has The Shining.
Indeed.
And that's kind of the plot. She turns around and then she starts seeing all these people surround her. And essentially, there's people out there that are going cross country and traveling to find people that have the shine. So they
and
can
they feed off of it.
and they feed off of it because what is it she says? Eat well,
Live
long?
long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So her saying is eat well, live long. So you eat essentially they eat them. But they don't eat the body, they eat the what do they call it? The smoke? No.
The steam.
The steam. Is it the steam?
Or something.
I can't remember now. I should have wrote this down.
I don't
think the steam sounds
It's
about
almost like they eat the soul of the person.
It's
in some
yeah, that's
way,
a
like
good
the essence of the person.
yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
But they
that's
say
really
that,
gonna bother me.
but they say that like pain purifies it
And fear.
and fear as well, which is why they basically torture these kids
Oh yeah,
and inhale, like as they scream, this essence comes out of them and
that was
they inhale it until basically they die.
that was another thing. They find kids because it is called steam. They find kids because it's a lot more purer. It's not dirty, and as you get older, your steam gets like tainted in a way. It becomes older as well. So they find lure kids with their shining gifts, and it kind of reminded me of Stranger Things season 2, how there was like different people with different powers.
Oh yeah.
So everyone had the shining, but all of them had like their own unique abilities. You know, like they had like a different way to use it.
Yeah, 'cause Ewan McGregor's playing Danny. So
Mhm.
Danny basically explains to the little girl, what was her name?
Abra.
Abra, that's it.
Abracadabra.
That's cute. But yeah, he basically explains how like some people have the shining, they don't know it. For example, a kid who does well on a test that he didn't study for, or like people that have like a gut feeling about stuff. Like those are all little bits of the shining, but people don't know that it's the shining. They just know that they have this
Yeah. They
like,
don't
instinct.
know. Yeah, they don't know they have this full other power. They have little things. That's because like when they find kids, it's like a kid was using it to play baseball good. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like things like that. You know, they use it for little things to. It helps them with it, like do well in their tests and all that. I think that's what Ewan McGregor says.
Yeah. So for example, Abra, when we see her when she's 5 for the first time, and she's at her own 5th birthday, and the clown has like
Magician.
the magician
Different thing.
has like oh God. It's because we saw the Joker the other day, so I've got clowns in the mind. So he's put like
Surprised it wasn't a clown.
he's put spoons like on his nose and hands and stuff, and he's like making them like float in the air type thing. And she's like, I can do that too. And then it goes to like her mum and dad in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and all the cutlery apart from the spoons is on the floor. And then when they look up, all the spoons are like floating on the ceiling. So
Mhm.
she's doing it to do magic tricks. So throughout the film, like even as she gets older, she refers to the shining as magic.
Abracadabra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you're
really cute.
magic like me. I always called it the Shining. um, so essentially that's the plot. And Ewan McGregor's Danny is her pen pal. They can speak to each other through their shining, kind of Danny and the chef from the original. How he
Yes.
communicated with him. But yeah, that's the plot essentially, which is when I saw the trailers, I thought it looked so goofy, and it was kind of like and at the end it kind of gets a bit action like movie a little bit.
Oh yeah, I said
Like
to
it's
him.
like people using powers and stuff. Nah.
Yeah, well, it was just the fact that Danny like says to her, like we'll get to the context of it in a bit, but he says to her like, I told you when I first met you like to hide your shining and keep your head down, but now I see that I was wrong. Like you need to show your shining and like there'll be
Shine
others
on.
that are like you and you need to find them. And I was like, Avengers assemble,
Yeah.
like
I know.
superhero
It was
moment.
weird. It makes it seem like there's going to be like more films.
It does. It
but,
feels like the beginning of like superhero squad, The Shining.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know.
It had
Will
that
there be
vibe.
more films? I don't know. But yeah, I'd say there's a few characters that make a return.
Yes, there is.
Well, I say a few because it's the main three from,
Yeah.
and a few ghosts, as well. So we have Dick Halloran who returns, who's the chef, played by Carl Lumbly, who's obviously not the original actor. Um, the original was Scatman Crothers, and he was the only one that didn't bother me. I think.
Oh, really?
Like the returning like character, I thought he was fine. Like you know how we're talking about the other two
Oh,
characters where
yeah.
it was a bit jarring. He was the only one where I was like, yeah, this is fine. I think.
Oh.
We also have.
Obviously, we have Danny.
Yeah, we have Danny return as well. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get the names here.
But we see Danny like again as a kid and as an adult.
Yeah, we have young Danny played by Roger Dale Floyd, who was okay, I would say. It was a
He wasn't
decent.
in it much.
He wasn't in it much. You know, it was more the back of his head and then a couple of like shots. Um, but yeah, but then we also have uh Jack Torrance and then Wendy Torrance appear as well. Wendy Torrance is shown in the beginning of the film, quite a chunk at the beginning, and then Jack Torrance shows up at the end.
As a bit of a surprise, he
As a
is.
bit of a surprise.
But he introduces himself as Leroy.
Yeah, the barman.
As the barman, he is the barman. Yeah.
Mhm. So it's kind of like that. You know how like in the original Shining, like the other guy who passed on there,
Yeah.
he was like the waiter or whatever.
Yeah.
So now Jack is now Lloyd, because he even says like his
Oh,
name.
did I say Leroy? Is there a Leroy?
Did you say Leroy?
I feel
I
like
didn't
it's
even
the-
know.
Leroy.
No, I feel like you said Lloyd.
Oh, I have no idea.
No, Lloyd. Yeah. It was Alex Essoe. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. Who plays Wendy, and we don't know who plays Jack Torrance.
We can't find
Because
him.
we're assuming, because we've literally seen the film on release day, the actor's name hasn't been put out there because it was obviously meant for a surprise. So whoever you are, we didn't like it.
But that wasn't your fault. It was just weird to see
Yeah.
other actors who looked a bit like those actors trying to play those iconic characters.
Yeah. Should we just talk about the ending?
No,
Not the ending, but okay. Let me ask you this: did you have a favorite moment? The end.
No, I tell you what, I really liked when Abra uses her shining. She goes to her window and she stares out of her window,
Yeah.
and then
that
she
was
like
cool.
pushes it,
Mhm.
and the whole room like slowly rotates, and she ends up like holding onto the window, and then she drops onto like the opposite wall that is now basically the floor, and she is then now seeing through Rose the Hat's eyes
Yeah.
as like her like in the supermarket.
Yeah.
And then obviously Rose goes to like a window in the freezer section and can kind of see her back, and
Mhm.
that was quite cool actually. The whole
All
movement and that effect.
all the times whenever the movie done that, when it was them going into someone else's like head or finding someone,
Yeah.
those were my favorite moments, because it was like so unique, and I loved the way they did it, especially when Rose the Hat did it to find her,
Yes.
Abra. She like she's like meditating on top of her like RV, and then all of a sudden she starts flying into the sky. And at first I was a bit like, this is ridiculous. This looks so stupid.
It was a little bit
Yeah,
stupid.
and then but I was kind of like, do you know what? I'm kind of digging this. This is really cool. Like she's like fully into the sky, and then she's just looking down, and then
Yeah.
it's like at night, so it's like all the lights of like houses and stuff, and then she just starts flying through, like different streets and stuff, and then she finds her. But yeah, some of the camera work was really cool because
Yeah.
there's a moment where Ewan McGregor does that and like his room tilts.
Oh yeah, and he lands on the
Um,
blackboard wall.
Yeah, the blackboard wall, how he communicates, which I also liked. That was a nice.
Yeah.
I liked how the way that Danny and Abra communicated was they would write on his blackboard wall
Yeah, in
uh,
his apartment.
in his apartment, which I thought was pretty cool.
And then yeah, it's not until like probably about 3/4 of the way through the film when he actually really needs to find her that he like kind of opens himself up to the shining more and starts to use the telepathic communication.
Yeah, so that's a big thing in this. So it's kind of like, so it's pretty much at the beginning of the film. It's set like kind of it might give us a time frame, but I'm gonna say it's maybe set like a few weeks after, the events of The Shining. And Danny is still seeing, the the ghosts of the hotel,
And he's not spoken since.
and he hasn't spoken since the events. Like he's like scared, senseless, and he still sees like the woman from like the bathtub from the original.
Yeah.
She pops up way too
All
many
these
times.
ghosts, like the twins and the guy who goes, what's the line about the party?
I've been saying it all day as
Yeah.
well.
It's a
like-
great party, isn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, it's like a great party, isn't it?
Yeah,
something
and he's
like
got
that.
blood. All those ghostly ghouls are back,
Yeah,
but played by different actors.
but played by different actors, and it like I said this time, like especially with the Jack Nicholson impersonator, I'm assuming, it's kind of like how you have a mate who kind of sort of looks like someone.
Yeah.
It's like you could be that person. It's like the director had a mate who kind of looked like every single one of these people.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you can be in my film
And
if
they
you
were
want.
like, just see what they do and do it.
Yeah. Shout out to the. I have to give a shout out to the woman who plays Wendy. I think she kind of nailed it.
Yeah, to be fair.
I mean, she didn't look like her, like not really, but she kind of
she
nailed
had
the mannerisms.
clearly done her homework
Yeah,
on the
and
character,
the
hadn't
and the
she?
voice. Even the boy who played Danny. I thought he
Yeah.
sounded like Danny as well. But we're assuming there was like issues with rights or something, so they could do flashbacks. Obviously they had to like make new scenes. But they like flashbacked a lot to the original film, so it's kind of like, why
Yes,
didn't
they
they
had.
just?
Yeah, they had redone the.
It might have been a
footage,
choice because they
exactly.
were like, oh, we have to make new scenes, so now we're just gonna have to remake those old scenes with our new actors.
Yeah, they could have done because otherwise it probably would have looked worse if the
Mm.
flashbacks had been from the original film, but then the ones.
I'm surprised they didn't just CG people's faces. That
knows?
seems to be what they do all the time now. But yeah, getting back to my point, there's like this kind of moment where Danny and I forgot. Yeah, Halloran are sitting on a bench together, and they're talking about like their abilities and the shining and all that, and then Danny expresses like, I still see them and all that. They still they're still here, and then Halloran shows him this box. And he's like, yeah, I think his mum or his grandmother or something made him it. And he's like, you gotta look at this box. You gotta imagine it. You gotta see it you gotta build this box in your head. You gotta feel it and you gotta look inside it, and that's what you're gonna trap these people, like these ghosts in. So essentially, what they can do, even though they're haunting them, he's been taught a way to like hide them forever now. and
Yeah.
they're just like in his mind now.
In his shining, locked
And
away.
yeah, exactly. So that's a big theme of the film. Like everyone's got like a kind of like a library in their head. Like people that have a shining, they have like locked up memories or whatever. So
Mm.
I think that's what it was. It was like memories that they can
Yeah.
keep.
But Halloran is in Danny's head. He's not actually
I know, because
like still alive.
Yeah,
Like
'cause
didn't
they-
survive.
yeah, because at first they didn't explain that, and I was literally like, are they just boycotting that he died in the first film?
Yeah.
Because I was like, you can't do that. That's just ridiculous. And then all of a sudden, it like cuts to Danny, and he's sitting on the bench on his own, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the beginning of many things that happened within the mind.
Yeah. I guess we should talk about if this film is scary or not.
Yeah.
It's not.
It is not scary.
And it's kind of the biggest flaw in this film because it's doing like the modern trend of horror films now.
It was a bit creepy, but it kind of resorted to jump scares.
Yeah, it's
Um,
jump scares, loud music cues, stupid violin, like
I have to say, the bit that creeped me out though was just watching the shots of Danny walking through the hotel again.
yeah, at the end.
And the
Older
yeah,
Danny.
older Danny, and the lights are coming on slowly
It's
as
really
he walks
cool.
through
Yeah.
the building. Like it's waking up. He's gone inside to wake it up, and that, like, it didn't really even need any jump scares. Like that in itself was just creepy, seeing everything decaying and stuff. And you even pointed out there was tiny details
yeah.
that were in the first one that were still in this, as if it literally had just been left.
That's a perfect segue to what I call Jack's findings in movies. Working title.
Fantastic.
I noticed a few things like like Easter eggs and stuff in the film.
Mm.
So the first thing I noticed is there was a street when the little girl gets off the bus to where Danny is. There was a sign and it said Elm Street.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that as
yeah.
well.
So I thought that was like, oh, there you go, Elm Street. The magician was called Mysterio,
Yeah.
which is a reference to Spider-Man.
Aw.
And there was also Danny was getting like speaking to this doctor who was like pretty much giving him an interview, and that room was like complete remake of the original room from the hotel where Jack gets interviewed to get the job in the hotel,
Yeah.
which Emily never noticed the first time round. She
I
like
knew it
she
looked
found it enough.
similar.
Yeah, but like I was kind of like, because I even turned to Emily and I was like, do you see this? Like, look
I
at
thought
this.
he
It's
was
the
just
same
very
room.
excited about the
It
film.
was the exact same room, which I thought was about like really on the head, like hit the nail on the head. I was like, no, it was too on the nose. I was like, okay.
The whole way through this film, though, I could not tell whether or not you liked it because you kept checking the time, and then like sometimes you turn to me and like look really excited, and I'd be like, yeah, and then other times, yeah, 'cause you just keep looking at the time. And I was like, I don't know if you're actually excited by the film or whether you're bored and you're like thinking, when is this gonna end?
I don't know. Like, well, I'll get into my verdict of the film later on, but yeah, I was just checking the time because it was getting late and we had this podcast to do, and I was like, I don't want it
But
to be too late.
it did have some slow moments, I have to say.
Yeah, this film has like some really bad pacing issues. Especially the start of the film is like really slow, and it's like it delves into like Danny now being an alcoholic because his dad was an alcoholic, and I was like, they didn't really have to do that. And then he's like going to bars, and he was homeless. Yeah, he's like a
Yeah.
homeless man. Yeah, which I didn't like. I thought it was a bit odd. It was just a weird detail, obviously, just for him to be like not to be his dad or whatever.
I know because
yeah.
right at the beginning with young Danny and his mum, like after the whole thing in the hotels happened, he's not spoken, and then he finally gets shown by Halloran how to kind of keep these things locked in his shining, and he finally manages to capture the woman in the bathtub.
That was
and
a
he
cool
and he
shot.
comes back in to his mum, and he finally speaks to his mum for the first time, and he says, "Oh yeah, I'm okay." She asks if
Yeah.
he's okay. So then suddenly he's like homeless and like an alcoholic or whatever, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird
It
transition,
it
isn't
felt
it?
like they'd built it up to be like he's actually
Everything's
gonna be
okay, yeah.
and then they tore it back down again straight away, and I was like, what was the point?
It's not
He
okay.
just built me up to tear me
And then he's
down.
like robbing a woman who has a baby. And, he's doing drugs. He's an alcoholic, and yeah, it's kind of a slow start, and then all of a sudden everything gets better for him. He goes to a new place, and then the first man he speaks to is like, I'll get you a room to stay in, and I'll pay for your first 2 rents, and I'll get you a job and all that, and it's kind of like that would never happen. And he's like, I can see the good in you and all that, which made me think, oh, this guy's probably got The Shining as well.
He did not.
He did not. He did
He
not.
was just a
he
nice
was just
guy.
a really nice guy. Who, to be honest, I did like the character. So he takes him to AA meetings, which he also goes to.
Mm.
So he's obviously a guy who's seen that look before. That's what he says. I've seen this look before,
Yeah.
because he's seen it in himself.
But I have to say, right? I mean, this is a spoiler, but we're in the spoiler
We're in
section.
spoilers. Spoiler.
But I really was enjoying his character, and like his character was getting built up, and he finally like hears out Danny about The Shining, and he finally believes him, this and the other,
Yeah,
and then he gets killed off.
he does.
Like right when his character was coming into its own, and I was like, oh yeah, like he's gonna get involved now, blah blah blah, and he gets killed, and I was like, well,
Yeah, it was a sad moment. It was kind of a cheap kill as well.
yeah,
Actually, that was another moment I did like. It's kind of like a heist, like moment.
oh yeah, this
You
is
know,
good.
it's like a whole plan. So Danny goes to Abra's house. Her dad's freaking out because he obviously thinks he's a pedophile. You know,
Yeah, 'cause she's just told her dad about this man
he's
that she calls
yeah,
Uncle
Uncle
Dan.
Dan. And it's like, yeah, fair enough. I would react the same way. And then she shows him like all the visions that she sees. Yeah, that was before I get into that. It's also an interesting thing because obviously in the first Shining, we don't see Danny as being like this powerful kid or whatever, but all of a sudden he can do all these different things, whereas before he can only really see visions, hear people's thoughts, and like and speak to people through their
Yeah.
minds. Whereas now all of a sudden he's got all these different abilities and it goes all crazy, and then all of a sudden he's like the greatest shiner. Like it's
I
weird.
think it's almost to show that like
I don't think they explained that enough. Like why
no,
was he the
because
one?
she's explained because she's got something special, and obviously he explains to her how different people have different amounts of The Shining.
Yeah.
So she clearly has like a lot, and she can do a lot of stuff that
she's the big
people can't do.
She's the big smoke.
But yeah, but it's never explained why suddenly he knows and can do.
All of a
certain
sudden he can
things.
do all these new abilities which you never knew he could do.
And all I can think is that's supposed to have been like developed sometime between him being that child that learns how to lock these ghosts away in his mind, and him
Well, no, because
being on the street.
he pushed it down. That I think he stopped using his abilities so that people couldn't find him. Anyway,
Yeah.
back to the Shine heist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, he comes up with a plan, and it looks like they're gonna lure. So the whole thing is like so it's Danny, his friend, Freeman, and Abra drive off into this park. Freeman and Danny have hunting rifles, and then they're like, and she's like, they're following us. They're like catching up to us. And it's like, good. We'll be in like a crow's nest. We're gonna hide in the trees and stuff. And I'm like, cool. So they're gonna lure them in, shoot them. Cool. The girl comes out, snake bite, and she does her whole, oh hey friend, you're my friend.
Yeah, she can persuade people like with her
She
mind.
she can persuade people to do things like she's like, yeah, she'll be like, "You're my friend." It's like, and then they'll be like, "I'm your friend," and then it's like, "You're getting sleepy now." It's like, "I'm getting sleepy."
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she like injects her with whatever it is, something like a
To
drug.
drug her, yeah.
Yeah, she drugs her, and then she's all like, "That was." The way they were like bigging you up, I thought it was gonna be a lot harder. She turned around, it's a teddy bear in the hand, and then she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what's going on?" And then it's like, then that belly, it's like, "Oh, they're just parlor tricks," and then they start freaking out, and then all of a sudden, we see it cuts to her. She's in her kitchen table, still at home with
Abra
her.
is on her kitchen
Yeah,
table.
still at home. She's that powerful that she can control people, like be in people's minds from like miles away. And then Danny and Freeman start shooting everyone down. And I was kind of, and I just love how this little girl is like, "You deserve to die," and all that. And she's like
Yeah.
this young girl, and she's like, "You deserve to die," which is true. Like these are horrible
Because
people.
the reason why she's got involved is because she is, whenever they're like attacking other kids with the shining, she
She
is
feels
seeing
it,
it and
yeah.
feeling it.
And I think Danny feels it too.
Yeah, he does a bit, but
Yeah.
not as powerful as she does.
No, 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 no.
Because at one point they're torturing this boy and like using eating his shining, as she says, and she starts screaming, and then she like slams or something, which then slams onto Danny's wall, like cracks his wall, and it spells out like murder, red rum, and it throws him out of bed.
Which I thought was a bit like, what? It's even got like the backwards R and everything, so I was a bit like, like.
I like that. I was like,
I was
oh,
like,
here
I
we
mean, like, fair enough if
go.
it said like murder, like straight up, and he was looking in the mirror and it looked like red rum, but it had like the backwards R and
Yeah.
everything. I was like, why can't these kids do a normal R?
Yeah, so on the wall it does say, unlike when Danny wrote it when he was a kid and he wrote red rum and then you looked in the mirror and it said murder, this one actually read murder when it was written, but because he saw it in the mirror when he like got up out of bed,
No,
it
it
said
was
red rum.
it was like written the same way and everything.
Yeah, but the R's were still backwards, but it was
No,
the other way
like
round.
no, because even when it flipped down to murder, the R is backwards.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's the reverse of the reflection.
Yeah, no, but see when he looks to the normal wall, like not in the reflection,
Yeah.
the R is still backwards.
Yeah.
Like in the original, because he wrote it all backwards.
I get what you're saying. But she
I
but
don't think
she
you do.
hadn't written red rum, she'd written murder.
I know, but she's still written the R backwards, like in the original. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You don't get what I mean.
I get what you're saying, but I'm trying to explain that she had written murder properly.
Yeah, and he written murder properly in the original as well, but
But backwards.
yeah, but backwards, because he spelt red rum, and then when she looked in the mirror, it spelled murder. But this time, when he looked in the mirror, it said red rum, and then when he looked at it, it said murder.
Yeah.
But when he looked at the murder, the R was like backwards,
Yeah.
which I don't get why.
It's just so it spells red rum, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So,
the
but like,
reflection.
why? But she doesn't know about that. Anyway,
We have issues with Danny and children's spellings in this film.
yeah, like, why can't people do normal R's? This is like this
The
is set in,
true
this is set
question
in
of this
modern day.
film.
Like, there's no excuse.
The true question here.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I have to say I really enjoyed this little girl as character.
Yeah,
She was
fantastic.
awesome. Like, she was so cool, especially when we spoke about earlier about this whole scene where Rose the Hat is like going through the sky and stuff.
Mm.
So she's going to find where Abra is, and she goes in her room, in her head, obviously, and then she sees like her wall of like filing cabinets, which is her memories. So I thought it was weird because even when she opened the filing cabinet, it's like little files and they have name tags and all that.
Yeah.
I was like, would that actually be how you store your memories? But anyway, then all of a sudden, like, her hand gets like like jammed in the door, like
Oh, that was
brutally.
horrible.
Then she turns around. There's Abra. She's wearing like she's got like purple hair, no eyes, which is obviously just to be a disguise,
Yeah.
so that she doesn't actually see what she looks like. And it's like really creepy as well.
It is really creepy.
And then yeah, and it's like, and then she's just full on like, not as good as you think.
Yeah.
Like gotcha. And then she's like, I was like, oh, this is cute, you know, your little filing cabinets. You should see inside my head. It's like a cathedral. And then she's like, okay. And she
And
goes
she
in,
goes into
and
her
she
head.
goes in her head, and then she's like dashing about in her little cathedral library, like looking at all her like memories and files and stuff. And then she starts freaking out, and then she's trying to get her hand out of the drawer, and
Oh,
it's like
that's horrible.
tearing her skin off. That's the only
Rips it
time where I
off.
was like kind of like cringing at the movie. I was like, oh, you know, it's so brutal. And then she rips her hand out, and then she goes back to her own body, and her hand is still messed up. So obviously, it's happening for real. Yeah, so that was a cool scene. I really
Mm.
liked that. I guess we'll talk about like the end.
Yeah.
Well, the last act, which was amazing, but really dumb at the same time.
It was. So the last act is where they go back to the
Excuse me.
hotel. He's just opening the leftover trick or treaters sweets. Yeah. Oh my god, it's like ASMR up in here. So basically, they're back at the hotel. You're so rustly. God. Trying to talk to the people here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because he says that basically, because The Shining like feeds off of because the hotel feeds off The Shining. Stop, you goblin.
I'm not goblin. Did you call me a goblin?
Yeah,
That's really mean.
you're like a little sweet goblin. In the
Hell yeah! It's
in the corner of the
it's
caravan.
Halloween. I gotta eat the leftovers.
Right, let me tell the story to you.
Sorry.
So they go they go back to the hotel because Danny says the hotel like feeds off of people shining. So if it was dangerous for him
Yes.
and his parents and stuff, it will be dangerous for Rose the Hat. So he goes back inside first, and he wakens up the house,
to
which is this.
He has to waken it up.
Yeah.
That's what he says. Yeah.
So he walks through the house, and this is where all the lights start coming on without like the generator or anything, and
Which
he
is-
heads to the generator room, doesn't he?
I loved when he walked into the hotel. Like straight away, all the lights start illuminating,
Yeah,
and I thought it was such a cool way to do it.
it was fantastic.
I was like, oh, this is really cool.
and you see the hotel, but it's all derelict and
Yeah, it's like
Oh,
rusted
rotting.
down, rotten. Like the typewriter's still in the hallway and all
Yeah.
that. And it was so cool. Like
Yeah.
it's such a like surreal moment. I was like, oh, this is really well done. I really like this. It's like, and it looks even more creepier now. But continue, yeah.
yeah. So he does. So he goes in and reawakens it all, and he heads to the. Oh my gosh! Stop.
How horrible does that sound?
He goes to the boiler room and he kind of switches it on, and we don't really know what he's doing with that, but we find out later. And then she kind of telepathically lets him know when she sees the lights of Rose the Hat's vehicle coming over the mountain. So he goes and grabs her, and they start walking through. And they stay inside that grand room where Jack had like been writing. Jack Torrance's been writing in the first film, and they've got an axe. And Rose the Hat comes in, and they kind of like battle her in their minds.
He goes
but,
in the room as well. Did you mention that?
Oh yeah, so he goes into room 237.
No. He goes into the room that they stayed in.
Oh yeah, and he puts his head through
He puts his head
the
through
hole
the
in
door,
the door.
and that's where we get our first flashback
Yeah,
of
Wendy.
when this new actress playing Wendy, and she kind of nails it.
She does. To be
It's
fair.
like a really well done shot. It looks exactly the same. I would like to see it side by side.
Yeah.
Hope someone does that one day. Like I have to say, we'll get into that as soon as you finish explaining the situation. But I have to say, even though I didn't enjoy them, I have to say, like, how many times I'm gonna say that?
Jack has to say.
Yeah, I can't help it. I have to say,
Oh.
the shots are done like actually really well. Like it's a good remake of it, even though
Yeah.
I didn't really enjoy it. For the context, I didn't enjoy it. Continue.
It's like, so basically they start fighting Rose the Hat in someone's mind, but they're not. Well, Rose the Hat's not sure whose. But they're in the
Yeah,
maze.
it gets really trippy.
They're in the maze, and there's this really nice shot where she's in the maze in the middle, and it zooms right out to show the whole maze. And it reminds me of when in the first film, Wendy and Danny are in the maze, and it zooms out on the model, and Jack is looking at the model of the maze.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shots. Is when he's looking down at the mini model of it, but you can see them walking through it.
Yeah.
It's like an amazing shot. So it's not the exact same, but yeah, it zooms out and
It's
shows the
similar.
film is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so they
you'll
start
see a lot of like redone scenes.
Yeah. So basically, what they're trying to do there is they're in Danny's mind, and Danny is trying to distract Rose the Hat by getting Abra to attack her, basically, to then shut her in one of his boxes that he's trapped all the other ghosts from the hotel in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't quite go to plan.
No, she's too powerful. She's been sucking too much steam. She does.
I mean, she literally has.
She like and so like essentially did I actually get it?
You did.
I did.
There was a little
I
fly on
did,
his
I
head and he
actually got
smacked it on its forehead.
I actually got it.
Yeah, but stop rubbing it because you're just moving it around your forehead.
Am I? Is it gone? No, it's gone.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah, it's gone now. Anyway.
That's amazing. That's the best thing I've ever done. Fly landed on my head and I managed to smack it.
God.
Good for me.
Caravan life.
What was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. Smacked out my head.
So, it doesn't work.
Yes.
So then they're back on the stairs, and Danny's got an axe.
Yeah.
And
there's another
flashback to his mum, Wendy's wiping
the
with
scene
the bat.
Where, yeah, he's got an axe in his hand, and then she's coming up the stairs. She's even doing like the same mannerisms, like with the hands.
Yeah.
And I think when it did that, I was like, I'm done. Like, this is dumb now.
Yeah.
This
and then
is like
it switches to fake Jack Torrance.
Oh yeah, we don't even mention like the bar scene.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
skipped
it's
over
such a
this.
big thing. Oh God, Emily.
Listen, I was trying to explain. You were rustling a sweet packet.
It's
I'll
distracting
have
you.
to work as well as I can under the conditions.
So essentially, it's the same situation where Jack Torrance went
This
into.
is before everything that I've just explained, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So Jack Torrance goes. It's the same as the original where Jack Torrance goes into. Is it the Golden Room?
Yep.
Yeah, the Golden Room bar. There's no one in it. He sits down. But this time Danny goes in it and he sees the same empty glass, which I liked. That was a nice detail because it would still be there. The same empty glass that Jack left, his dad. Nothing's happening, and then you're kind of expecting it to happen. You're like, oh my God, they're gonna do it. Is Lloyd gonna show up? And then yeah, you hear Lloyd. But this time, it ain't Lloyd, baby.
He calls himself Lloyd.
Calls himself Lloyd, which is interesting. That like opens like whole other worlds. So it kind of like doesn't show him. It only kind of shows his hands, and then it cuts out, and it's a Jack. I almost said Jack Black. A Jack.
my God.
A Jack. Can you
Jack
imagine?
Black
Can
is
you imagine
there.
Jack Black?
In the
Do
Shining.
you know? I would have preferred that. He probably nailed
That
a
would have
Jack
been
Nicholson.
hilarious.
I wish it was like Jim Carrey, cause you know what I mean.
Jim Carrey would have done this.
Yeah, cause he would
Amazingly.
have been amazing, like an impersonator. I'm surprised they didn't. So obviously they just got someone who sort of looks like him, like when he was in the 80s, and it's not the best. Like they probably could have got someone better. Or like I said, I'm surprised they didn't CG his face
Yeah.
onto a body double. But yeah, it's him. Danny's trying to talk to him like it's his dad, and he's like, you must. And he has like a weird British accent. Did I imagine that?
I wasn't paying too much to
I feel
his
like he had like
voice.
a weird voice. Like it wasn't like the guy was trying to do Jack Nicholson's voice. It was like it made me. It sounded like Lloyd's voice, the barman from the first one.
It did, yeah. That's what was
Yeah,
weird.
that's what was weird. And then he also, so he's like, my name, you must have me mistaken for someone else. I'm Lloyd, the barman. And then it goes off into this whole thing, like, take a drink. Even though he's like sober, and obviously when Jack took a drink, that was pretty much him. Like you said in the our review for The Shining, that was him selling his soul giving his soul to the hotel.
Yeah, because
So
when fake
refuses.
Lloyd, who is fake Jack Torrance, gives him a drink, he's like, it's on the house, which is
It's on
the same
house.
thing.
Yeah, your money's no good here. So yeah,
Yes.
that was a big deal. And then so back to where we were, the big fight.
Yeah, so after this homage scene where it's like the bat
So
slash
she
axe
she gets
swinging.
the better of him. She
Yeah.
stabs him, throws him down the stairs, like in the original, how he got flung down the stairs. So there was a lot of that, which kind of started to it got old because there was
Yeah.
too much of like shot remakes and all that, and I was like, right, okay, I get it. Right, we're in the hotel. You don't have to do everything
Yeah.
exactly the same, unless they did it to try and be like, things never change here or whatever.
I don't know.
I don't think so. It's definitely for the fans.
But they yeah, so she starts like because she
Oh,
starts
he's got-
poking his
he's got-
wound.
yeah,
She's
he's
cut
got,
his
like,
artery or
He's
something.
cut his artery in his leg and starts stabbing it. He starts screaming in pain. Obviously, the pain heightens the steam or whatever. So it starts coming out his mouth, and then she's sucking it in. She's starting to get his memories and stuff, which I'm assuming that's what she's getting.
So she sees a flash of all the boxes in his mind. So
Well,
she's
at first she sees all the memories of him in the hotel.
Oh,
So he's
yeah.
been through so much, a lot of pain, and then she's like, "What are these like What are these like hidden boxes or whatever?" Excuse me. And yeah, and then that was his plan. So the plan was to trick her. Then he's opened up these. He's let the ghost get free.
yeah, he opens the boxes.
He opens the boxes, which were like the ghosts from the hotel, and then literally she turns around, and then they're all there.
Because they've been starved of The Shining.
They've
Because
been
he's had them
starved
locked
because they
away.
feed off it, and then. But I just found that really funny. She just kind of turned around, and then every single character from the original
Hello.
is just there.
But fake, not the real one.
Not the real ones, obviously. So like we had the twins, we had the barman, then we had the
Grady.
great party, isn't it? Grady was.
That
Oh
dude.
yeah, Grady was there. Yeah, Mr. Grady, correctum.
But not the original.
And then who else was there? Oh, the bath lady, who shows up way
Then
too
someone-
much.
Some random lady was there. There was a couple
There was
of
a couple of
randos.
randos. Yeah, they obviously just had to fill the crowd.
Yeah.
And then they eat her or whatever, and then they turn around and then they're like, "Oh, there's another one," and then it's like, "Come play with us, Danny."
Yeah, they go for Danny.
And
don't
then they get him as well, and then now all of a sudden he's Jack Nicholson.
So then he starts running through
For
the
some
halls,
reason, why
but like his
people-
father had done.
people get haunted by this hotel, they all of a sudden have a limp.
With an
With an
axe.
axe.
And they start shouting the child's name. So
Oh,
Danny's
yeah.
now going through
Abra!
limping, going Abra.
And then essentially it's just the ending of the original kind of beginning. Danny's chasing Abra through
Oh,
the
yeah, okay.
hotel. That's what I meant, yeah. And then now she starts seeing all the ghosts because they've been let free. And then of course she ends up in room. Oh, and then we also saw like the blood of the elevator
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
that
Seen
scene
that.
happens again.
That's been remade. We see great party, isn't it? Again.
He's there.
And then the twins again, and then she goes in room 237. Finally, there's the room. She goes in it. Who's there? Of course, it's the woman in the bath. again.
It's like as if this film was like just in case you'd forgotten whilst you were watching the rest of the film that this was based
She
off of
shows
the
up
original
like
Shining.
a good like
We're gonna throw in a lot of the original but remade.
Yeah, the woman in the bath like shows up like nearly like 5 times.
Oh,
or
she is
something.
the star of this film.
Yeah, for
Let's
some
not lie.
reason that was like she's the
She's
the
just
worst
there all
one.
the time.
I guess she is the one that actually hurt Danny in the original,
True.
but you never saw that, so it's kind of like I didn't think he was that traumatized by her, but you think he'd be more traumatized by his dad.
But no.
But yeah, so now he's possessed by the hotel, and then Abra's not having it. She sets him free for like a slight moment. He explains what he's gonna do. You know,
Yeah,
he's
so
like,
she gets away.
yeah,
He goes down to the boiler room.
down to the boiler room where we see what he was doing in the boiler room originally was like setting up full blast and ready to explode. And he just sits there, and then all of a sudden, there's his mum, there's Wendy, holding him close, and then it pans back, and now he's a younger boy, and then boom, it doesn't explode. I was expecting an explosion.
Yeah,
but it just
so was I.
It just lights up in flames.
I feel like that might have been a bit too brutal.
I would, yeah, it would have made sense.
Action sequence, go.
Yeah. And then yeah, that's it. Abra gets saved by the cops. She goes back home. Everything's normal.
She's with her mum.
She's with her mum, and Danny's there. He's now in her head, because I guess that's what happens to people that die, that you know, or something.
Well,
Because obviously he saw
when
uh,
he
thingy.
earlier in the film when he's working at the hospice, which we kind of just glossed over,
Oh, yeah.
he helps people to die because where he works as a cat, and whenever the cat goes to sit on your bed at night, it knows that it's your time. So then
And he knows as well.
Yeah, so he knows as well. So he ends up sitting with them, and he can start to see what they're seeing. So like as they're dying,
Yeah.
and then he kind of joins in with them as they kind of drift off.
And they call him Doc as well, which I thought was a nice touch.
Straight away, they know. They call him Doc, and he's like not said.
Well, they obviously call him Doc because they think he's the doctor.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite good. Or do they call him Doc because they also know it?
We don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it's that whole thing of like, because he even says how like it's not the end when you die. So then obviously that explains why he can see Halloran and why then Abra can see him once he's died.
Yeah. So that was it. Emily, what did you think of the film?
I did enjoy it.
Hmm.
There was a lot to it, and some bits were better than others. I feel like we've kind of slated the ending a bit.
Yeah, we only slayed it because it started off as a great thing. Like him just walking through the hotel. It was so well done, and then they ruined it with an action sequence, doing lots of remakes and flashbacks, callbacks, fan service. I hate it. It's cringy in a way, but continue.
But overall, I really liked the concept that obviously Stephen King had come up with, and it made sense with the story from the first film, but also was its own thing. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and I thought it was really creative as well, like the way that they portrayed different things and how they explained it and stuff. So I did enjoy it. I don't think it will be one that I'll rush to see again, like so soon, but I would watch it again eventually. And I'll be interested to read like other people's reviews and theories and stuff once more people have seen the film. So I think in total I have to give it, I'm going to give it a 3.5 for now. Like it was good.
Solid.
It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad either. What about you?
When the film was going at the beginning, I was like, this is going to be such an average film. Like, it's going to be okay, whatever, never watch it again. But then it started to pick up, and then I was actually like, do you know what? I'm really digging this. I am enjoying, like how over the top and weird this film is getting. Because if you go all out weird in a film, that means you're committed to it, and that means the audience will be committed to it. If you're only kind of half in, it's just out of focus and it doesn't work. Whereas I feel like they kind of went all out with the weirdness,
Yeah.
and it was good, and I enjoyed those parts, and I enjoyed most of the characters as well. I loved Abra. I thought it was such a cool character, and I loved the way they wrote her. She was just like, she was just not having it, you know.
Yeah, she was
saw
feisty.
she saw this little boy get brutally murdered, and then she was like, "These people gotta pay, and I'm gonna do everything I can." And it was amazing. I loved that. Just a strong female character. Loved it.
Girl power.
Ewan McGregor, he was good in it. You know, I
Yeah.
thought, you know, he did what he did. You know, I feel like they probably could have done more with Danny. I feel like he was more of a side character compared to the new people. Obviously, he's there because it all calls back to him. Um, yeah, some of the like callbacks and stuff I really enjoyed. The moment where they arrive at the hotel, I was literally like, "This is amazing. This is so
Oh yeah,
cool."
that whole sequence was
Yeah,
just
when he's
fantastic.
literally just walking through, nothing's happening. The only thing that's happening is the lights are all like illuminating as he like walks through the hallways. Even like going into his like old family room, seeing the red rum door with the axe hole through it, and it's just so well done. He's literally nothing's happening. He's just
Yeah.
walking through it, seeing it all.
But it was powerful.
Yeah, it was great, and then they kind of ruined it as soon as Rose the Hat showed up. So that's on our like driving license.
Rose that. It's just like she's this villain of the whole film. It's just Rose the Hat.
What a ridiculous name. But yeah, I thought some of the cinematography was really good as well. There's
Yeah.
some really beautiful shots, and you know, it kind of has the style of Kubrick, which I'm assuming that they wanted it to feel like a sequel. You know,
Yeah.
score was good and all that. It was a solid film.
The thing is with this film, because it is quite intricate with the ideas and stuff. I could go on for quite a while, but it is over an hour, just over an hour now.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we do
yeah.
need to wrap it up.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's definitely bits that we've missed out that, you know,
yeah.
it's definitely worth seeing this film.
Yeah, I would see it. It's a good film. It's not scary like the original. You know, obviously they had like a big film to follow up on, and that's a hard thing in itself, especially when it's like it came out like what would that be? That's nearly like 2 decades ago it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's crazy. Um, but yeah, overall, I think it was a pretty good film. Had some pretty bad pacing issues and some really annoying fan service moments. So I think I'll give it a solid 3 out of 5. Three,
Bathtub women.
no, 3 great parties. Isn't it?
Oh god.
Out of 5. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to our podcast. You know, we hope you're enjoying it, because I know we are. We're really getting into it, and we're really enjoying it. This is our 10th episode, which is quite amazing in itself.
And we apologise if things seem a bit delirious.
It's really late.
really late.
It's really late.
It's been a long day.
Well, hopefully we don't do many more late episodes because we want to enjoy ourselves. We hope you had a safe and fun Halloween this year.
Thanks, Dad.
What?
Have a safe Halloween.
Yeah, you gotta be safe out there. Things are crazy shit's happening. Scary shit.
This is true.
Yeah.
On the next podcast.
Take it back. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at the Make Do Review, Send us an email of any requests you have or questions at the Mate Do Podcast at gmail.com. And we are available on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and our podcast provider, Anchor. Anything else to say, Emily?
Thank you for listening. Go see the film. It is worth seeing.
Yeah. And that will do.
That will do. Bye.
Happy Halloween.